Welcome back, Grief Nation listeners, and welcome to today's show with Grief Talk. We're going to be talking about In the Wrong Place at the Wrong Time with Cynthia Freeman. Hello, Cynthia.
Hello, Miami. How are you doing today?
I'm great, and I'm so excited to share your story on the show. So glad to have you here with us. We're going to jump right in, if you don't mind.
Oh, no problem. I really appreciate you having me on to share my story about my son, Danejer LaRae Freeman, my only child, my son, my partner, my buddy, my everything. Um, it was just really a crazy day for me that day. How the day just start out normal, and you think just gonna have another normal regular day, get up to go to work, and everything is fine. And I went to, after work that day, it was on a Monday, February the 9th, 1998. I'll never forget it. And went and got my nails done after work, go to my little normal nail appointment. And after that, I go home, met my girlfriend there. We was go make plans to see if we was going to go out and, for the weekend. We used to get together on the weekends and our group of friends and go out and kick it. So we were trying to plan our weekend. So we're at my house just, talking. And next thing I know, I hear somebody bamming at my door so loud. I thought the hinges was coming off the door. And when I get to the door, it was just like this young boy there, some young man, and he just looked so distraught. And he told me that Danejer had been stabbed and that it didn't look good. And I'm just like, of course, in shock and not knowing, what happened, who did what. So I contacted my parents and my grandmother. And I just jumped in my car and all the way to the hospital. I just kept saying, because I don't know why this even came to my head, but I just kept thinking about my maternal grandmother. She always tell me that the Lord will only put on you what you can bear. And how when you're younger and your grandparents say all these things to you, you think, oh, you just laugh and think it's really funny. But then when you get older, you start to realize how relevant and how poignant it is to your life, to everyday living. And then when something happens, it's like a deja vu moment for you, and you realize what exactly they meant by that. Yeah. So saying that all the way to the hospital, and by the time I got there, I go through the emergency room to figure out what's going on. I see it seemed like thousands of people was at the hospital. I don't even know where these people came from. Mm-hmm. And it was just like this man, I don't even know where he came from. I don't know which direction he came from. He saw me running from room to room, scavenging around, trying to find out where my son was, who had him, what room was he in. Mm-hmm. And it was another young man that got stabbed with him. He was the original person that was in the fight. He was the one fighting with the guy who stabbed my son. He stabbed him first. He stabbed him, collapsed 2 of his lungs, and did some other damage. But he was in a room, and I went in his room, and I asked him where was my son, and all he did was put his head down. He never said anything to me. Now, this was supposed to be somebody that was his friend, a good friend, all this stuff, and somebody that really didn't care for my son to be around anyway. I always, warned him about being around this particular young man. So out of nowhere, this white man came, and he just took his finger and pointed to a room. And where his finger pointed to, it was a room there. And that's where my son was at, getting prepped for surgery. Well, they had the door locked, and I'm a very small person. I was even smaller then. But somehow I kicked the door down because they were holding on the other side. I somehow got in the room. My mother was there. She was trying to constrain me from seeing my son. Now they have my son on a bed, and they have, all his clothes off. They have tubes in it, and all I could do is go beside his bed and just tell him I love him, and I just kept begging him, please don't leave me, please don't leave me. That's all I kept saying. And then I saw his eyes kind of roll back in his head, and then they drugged me out of the room. And then it just seemed like forever. We was in this room where they take you and you wait for the surgery. And then after so long, the surgeon came out and told me that my son didn't make it. And I just fell to my knees and just started crying and asking his father to bring him back to me. And it was just unreal. It was just like a dream. And the funny thing about it is I used to dream about my being in court and the judge asking me how to pronounce my son's name. I would always have this recurring dream and never understood what it was about. Mm-hmm. And then after my son was killed and we went to court and the guy got caught that same night, he was putting his boots on to go to work, and they arrested him. And we went to court. There was a moment where the judge, that very same thing that I had been dreaming about for years happened, and I almost fainted when I was in court because, of course, nobody knew what was going on but me, because that, because I had been dreaming about that for like years. I would have that same, not all the time, but it would come to me and I would be like, why am I dreaming about a judge and wanting to know how to pronounce Danejer's name? And it just never made sense to me. And then when it was an actual deja vu moment that occurred in court when he did that, I was like, it just kind of took my breath away.
Yeah.
I realized that's what I was dreaming about. I dreamt about this moment right here and didn't even know it. But it was just so unbelievable. Just even to this day, even all these years later, it's just still unbelievable just to look at his picture and see his face and see how, he lit up a room. And just, when I say everybody that met him fell in love with him, like his personality, his demeanor, his character, he was just an awesome child. I mean, he had a perfect smile. His dentist was even in love with him. His dentist wanted him to be do photos because his teeth was perfect. He never had braces. Just a perfect child to me. I mean, of course, he had his flaws, and he was a teenage boy, and his dad wasn't the kind of father he should have been. So that made him do some stuff that he shouldn't have done. But over all the stuff that happened, no one can ever, if you was to ever bring my son's name up where he grew up at, no one would ever have a bad thing to say about him, even if it was somebody, that he did something wrong, at the time or whatever felt wrong, like little mischief that kids do and stuff like that. Because he even had a mentor that's a police officer. He used to come and take him to his house, visit his mom. His mother was in love with him. And that's how he was. I'm like, if you was to meet him today, it was so crazy. One of his friends had a picture of him at his house. He had one of his a female friend at the house visiting. Mm-hmm. The female friends saw Danejer's picture and went crazy. Like he was still living crazy. Just looking at him and I just felt like his aura was so strong that his presence, even when he's not even here, he still touches people. He still makes people feel that good feeling that he gave everybody when he was here, and he would, be around you. He made everybody feel special and important and loved, and he loved his family so much. And of course, he loved his mom. So
yeah.
But it was just, he's very much missed, and people that I never even knew my son, I will find out later that he did something or they knew him. And, I'm like, wow, how did he get around so much?
Right.
Where was I at when he was doing all this stuff, so.
Making all these connections, right?
Yes. And it's just so amazing that because even his grandmother, his father's mother, when we was at the funeral and all these people came to the funeral, and this woman was probably in her 60s or something at the time, and she she was just so amazed. She said she's never seen this many people at
Mm-hmm.
anybody's funeral in her life.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we had it where he was born and raised. We didn't have it where he grew up at. So it was kind of like maybe 30 minutes away. So it really wasn't in town, because if it had been where where it happened at, it probably would have been even larger than that. But I wanted to take him home because that's where he was going to be laid to rest. So I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be somewhere close and not have to drive,
Yeah.
that way. And then, his friends, they showed up, they all dressed with white hoodies with his name on it, and all his pallbearers just did special stuff like that, because that's just how much, he affected them, and how much they loved him. I mean, it amazes me even to this day just how much people still talk about him, still, miss him, still always have respect for me, because his friends, they were so supportive. They would come by my house, sit on the porch with me, talk to me, bring me Mother's Day cards, and
Oh,
and stuff like that. So yeah, and
sweet.
yeah, so they really showed me how much he meant to them.
Right.
So, and that means a lot to me as a parent. You
Right.
always think you haven't done enough, or but when you see that type of love and outpouring for your child, who was only
Mm-hmm.
had just turned 18, he was barely 18,
Yeah.
get a chance to graduate, go to prom, none of that stuff. So he really took a lot from me, and I just I just can't even understand how someone can just take somebody's life and don't think about what they're going to do to that person and that person's family,
Yes.
so
Can you explain some of the complexity, excuse me, like along your journey that you had moved through, or just describe some of the feelings that you were having, emotions that you felt, so that other mothers or someone that have lost a child due to stabbing. I think your son was
Mhm.
stabbed. And what would you tell that mother about like your grieving process?
I know you go through, of course, at first you blame yourself. You think about, my son was out playing basketball with a group of his friends, and, he was only not even 4 or 5 blocks away from home, and you just think about, why did I go get my nails done that day? Why didn't I just go straight home? Why didn't I go look for him? You blame yourself. Then you just want to die. Then you go through everything. You don't want to live. You just don't understand. You try to be strong. And then you think about, why did this happen to me? What did I do? I'm like, I haven't done anything to anyone. I'm not a bad person. Why did this happen to my son? And then the person that you feel like that was actually the culprit of the whole fight, that was the one that was involved, he's still here, and he's still here doing, causing havoc. And nope, he doesn't have the type of love. People know him, and they, know him like that, but the kind of love and respect that my son was able to garnish for only 18 years, and this person is still here, and that wasn't the only thing that happened to him over the years. He's been shot a few times, he's been stabbed a few more times, he's shot at people, he's just doing everything that is against what I would ever, my son would ever be doing. So the person, and that's why I say at the wrong place at the wrong time, because you can be with somebody that you think is your friend, but if you with somebody that somebody don't is having a conflict with, and you're in the way, like I say all the time, bullet don't have no eyes. And how my son got stabbed, he was just standing there, and after the guy stabbed his friend, he was running from the scene trying to get to his car with his other friends so they can drive off. And I guess my son was in the way, and he just stabbed him for no reason. He just stabbed him with a 6-inch hunting knife and punctured his abdomen, and punctured all his major organs. So, I mean, and his friends rushed him to the hospital. They got him there as fast as they could, because I know they did.
Yeah.
And, there was just, I mean, the kind of weapon that he had, it was like the Rambo style that Rambo used in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
So
that was,
did you have a trial? Did you go through a criminal trial? I know you did say that you did go to court. So yes, you did. So can you talk about that? Not in so much detail, but just say how that process
oh
was
yeah.
for you.
Oh well, it's very very stressful because you have to sit there quietly, patiently, reverently, and listen to testimony about the situation. And at some point they even showed my son's clothes. They cut off him in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It's just traumatic, and you just have to
Yeah.
sit there and just be stoic and try to hold on to your emotions and
Mm-hmm.
and still focus on what's going on. And then the whole time you're sitting there, you're looking at the person that took your child's life, wanting to
Yeah.
jump across the room. And
Mm-hmm.
like you see on TV when the people flip out in court and they jump
Yeah.
across and do all that. I was like, man, I could see myself doing. I say, and then I'm thinking how I can grab the sheriff's gun before he gets to me so I can shoot him. I mean, I'm just in there
Yeah.
going crazy.
I believe you. I believe you.
So
I
it's
mean,
like
your mind just takes you there. You just
it
lost your
takes,
child. Yeah.
yes. And then you see the person that did it, and he didn't even know him. He had no interaction with that boy. He was 21. My son was 18. No one even knew who this kid was. He was just some random kid who happened to be up there that day. He wasn't anyone that was from our neighborhood or anybody knew really knew who he was or anything like that. So, that whole thing. But yeah, you go through so many emotions, and it's just, and for me, the other parent that her child was stabbed, she came to court one day. I was there every day, and I had people who came to support me every day. I didn't have to call anybody. I didn't have to ask anybody to come with me. I just showed up to court every day, and it was people there.
Yeah.
So, that
was
part,
going to be my next question. How
yeah.
much support did you have going through this entire process? Because that's definitely important.
Yeah.
Who were those people that supported you?
It was mainly my friends and his friends.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't, it wasn't so much, I can't even say it was so much my family, but at the time I didn't understand how devastated they were too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All I thought about was they wasn't being as supportive as I thought they should have been, because I was getting all this love and support from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look back on it now, I realize that they were crushed too.
Yeah. And it's and when traumatic things happen in family, sometimes people don't know how to respond.
Yeah. Yeah. And I realized that too. I had to, because I was mad at them for a long time.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
my grandmother, I was mad at her because she told me I didn't need a church that big because nobody was coming to my son's funeral. And that just cut me like a knife. I was like, what you mean nobody's coming to my son's funeral? And then the church was so full, you couldn't even get all the people in there. So it was just like, how dare you say nobody's coming to my son's funeral? Like he was nothing or nobody, I don't know why she said that. She was like in her 80s or something, or late 70s, but I just felt like that was a mean thing to say to somebody,
Yeah, right.
And she lost one of her sons before. She lost one of my uncle was murdered when I was 10 years old. And then her other son died from cancer when my son was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like she doesn't know what that feels like, but you know what I'm saying? So for her to say that to me, that hurt even more.
Yeah.
For
Sometimes
her to say that.
people are just insensitive, and not to say that they were trying to be. And definitely you got to think about your radars are like this on 10 if you say something wrong about my child, because I'm grieving. So it's possibly that she wasn't being she probably was more so thinking of how you're going to be able to bury him and money and, just, how grandparents are. They like to look out for you, but it could come out a little wrong. But that's normal to have, your reaction, others' reactions. Do you feel like you've gotten to a point, and not with your family or those who are supporting you, but how this whole situation happened with your son, this incident happened? Have you found some forgiveness and peace about it?
Yes, I really have. I don't even think about the guy who did it. I just knew when his release date was, and, they notified me from the state of Ohio. They told me, what he was getting out, and I got advance notice. I was able to talk to his probation officer because he still got to report to a probation officer for the next 5 years. So if he gets in any trouble for the next 5 years, he can go back to jail for back to prison for up to 10 years. So that part of it gave me solace, because I feel like even though he's out, he still got something hanging over his head for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So if he's not out free and clear, he still has to be on his P's and Q's.
Yeah.
So, and I just try not to even think about it, because it's not going to help me. And for me, I don't want to waste any energy on somebody that took my son's life when I could be thinking about how much my son meant to me and all the memories that we shared together. And to me, that's just tainting his memories to even involve him into my thoughts. So I just it took me a minute, but I let God take that off of me. And, I just been, long as I know where he's at and what's going on, I'm good with that. And I just hope I never see him.
Right. And it's I'm so excited that you said that you're no longer allowing him to be like this. You've cut that emotional cord for him, and he's not attached to your new way of being, and knowing that your son is is even greater in his death as he was in life, and that you would just you want to refrain in that realm of being happy still for your son's life and his existence, as opposed to weighing yourself down from the thoughts of who he is, where he's, what he's doing. And, so that's good. That's good for you. That's really good for you that you're in that mindset, because sometimes it takes people so many years. It just takes, and a lot of people don't like to talk. Like we're sitting here having this conversation. A lot of people just don't want to talk about it, but this is what heals us. And as we know, as women and girlfriends, we love to tell each other our most intimate thoughts and having these conversations. And that's what Grief Talk is all about, is just having an opportunity to be able to share that and getting others involved to be able to listen to this as a resource, and also to help. Even maybe there's not a mother in this situation, but you never know when you could be, or you never know by hearing your story that how they can help someone else that their friend could be going through this. So I'm grateful that you are here today and sharing your story. Now I'm looking at so let's talk about your work life. So what do you do? Who are you?
Right now, I've been in insurance since 2001. I'm a commercial auto claims adjuster for one of Warren Buffett's companies. And I'm working from home right now. And then I enjoy volunteering. I enjoy just helping people. And I had started a organization called Mothers on a Mission to Save Our Youth, MOMSY. And the mission is to help young people find what they're passionate about, to help them to be successful. I messed that up, but that's the gist of it. To help them find out what their passion is. So I found, because I listen to a lot of successful billionaires and everything, and all they talk about is their passion. And I even myself, stuff that I like to do is not work to me, it's fun. So, I think that, we help the young people find out what they're good at. They can explore their, what they're good at, and their talents, their hidden skills, things that they even had inside of them that God gave them, that they can just open up and start exploring and start thinking about other things other than just the norm, to think outside the box, to be more creative with your thinking and stuff. Because I know when we was growing up, we always had to be creative about, finding something to do, and, and now kids don't really have to do that. So I think that's a good avenue for them.
Great. Thank you for sharing that. Now, talk to me about your advocacy work.
Oh, I have worked with Everytown. We've done some marches and some rallies, and Moms Demand Action. We've done a lot of things with them, and they're really a good group of women. And I just really enjoy fellowshipping with other moms who've been through what I've been through, just like yourself. You know, it's because a lot of times people don't want to hear about that, and it's, you know, and for me, I just can't forget about my son because it's not comfortable for someone.
Right, right.
You know what I'm
Say
saying?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They want everybody always wants you to be considered their comfort level, but your comfort level may not be their comfort level. So
Right.
if you want me to respect yours, then you have to respect mine too, because I'm gonna give you your space, so let me have mine. And if that's not, you know, it's not being disrespectful, it's just that, hey, you know, this is what I'm this is how I feel about it. You know, I think
Yeah.
everybody should be able to say how they feel without being judged,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
especially when you going through all these type of emotions. It's no right way to respond to stuff like that. And then
Mhm.
I do have another group, another organization out of Ohio called Mothers, uh, uh, Parents of Murdered Children. They
Mhm.
send out every year. They send me out a little handwritten note about my son, and you
Oh,
know, and like a little poem in there that they send out every year, and which I think is really nice, that you know you have that fellowship and they always thinking about your child for you.
yes, yes. That's beautiful. And you said that's parent of murdered children?
Yes, I think it's out of Ohio.
Mhm.
I'm because I used to be on the internet surfing and looking at
Yeah.
stuff, trying to,
Mhm.
you know, connect with stuff, and I just run across things, and then I sign up when I'm doing research for stuff, and then I, you
Mhm.
know, reach out to people, and they always be so gracious about everything, and they, I don't even remember how I found about this
Mhm.
organization, but they've been, to this day, every year they send me
Wow.
a card and it's handwritten.
Oh, wow. That's so amazing. And it's a
Yes,
good feeling to
yes,
realize that somebody is thinking about your child and you,
yes,
and to be and to do it every year,
yes,
to be consistent and thinking about me, Yeah,
yes.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really, I was like, and it always comes right on time. Like on the
Mhm.
day that you need to see that, you know, it
Yeah.
always pops in on that day that you need that, you know, because you always gonna be some kind of not good days. I ain't gonna call them bad days, but kind of
Right.
good days.
Right. And you said your son passed what year?
He was murdered February the 9th, 1998, and I had his funeral on Valentine's Day.
And that's why I wanted you to say the date, because no matter, and this is proof, no matter how long it's been, we still as a mom miss and still struggle. It's not that even because I've become a grief coach doesn't mean I don't struggle with my time of losing I miss my baby. Who just miss
Exactly.
you? I mean, if you just miss holding them, smelling them, y'all don't care even what they smell like. You just love,
Uh-huh.
that was your
Yes,
baby.
yes,
So it's just no matter how long it is, or you just still cherish the love of missing that child, and that was taken away from you, as you said earlier. So I commend you where you are along your journey, and thank you once again for sharing your story, and that no matter the time length that you still are enduring, and you have had um, good people around you to help support you. And that's important to share too. So I'm glad that you talked about Everytown and Moms Demand Action, because they do so much to get us out and to do a lot of work in the community, and spread the word on how we can make change, policy changes. And so it's good to know that, and it's good for us to share that so that other women know how to become involved. You talked about poems. Well, you stated what um, parents of murdered children do. They kind of send you like a poem, but that's something that you also do. Can you talk about that a little bit?
yes. From the time I buried Danger, I whenever his anniversary of his death came around or his birthday, I would write a poem. The first few years I had his one friend, Andre, who was so good at poems because I thought I could never write a poem.
Mm-hmm.
So I would, had him writing for the first few years, but then after that, I started just doing it myself. And it would just be like, I would have to wait until like maybe a couple days before I have to get the poem in. And because it would be so painful because I would be so emotional. I'd be crying about just writing the stuff, just thinking about it. And it would just be like a process. So then I just, I don't know, it would just come to me and then I just write the whole poem in like a couple seconds and it'd be done. So I just started doing that twice a year since 1998. So I have accumulated over 20 years of poems that I would love to put in a book for other parents to look at and see the journey from when I first started writing the poems, how broken I was, in the beginning. Yeah. And not that I'm not broken now, but I've healed throughout the years. And I've, I don't want that to be, when I wrote the poems, I don't want it to always be, sad or, because his life wasn't sad. He didn't have a sad life. He was a happy person. He brought joy to everybody's life. So I don't want that. Didn't want that to keep being the theme of the poem. So over the years, I express my pain, but I also express my joy in the same time. So I wanted to be able to put that together and put that out there. And I have like artwork that he did that I would love to put in the book with the poems. And he's written poems that he wrote himself that I still have. And I just would like to put all that together. So, just to be some inspiration for, mothers, parents, especially moms, because I know how it is with moms and their sons. That's a really special, close relationship, just like mothers and daughters. But mothers and sons is very different, and it's very, close, and, that's your baby.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So share your personal quote with us.
Oh, my personal quote that I love to say is knowledge is power, get you some.
All right now. And explain that, because you say that's your tagline.
Yes, because, for me, knowing something, when I was growing up, people used to always tell you, find out for yourself, research for yourself. Don't let somebody people can tell you anything. I can walk up to you and say the sky is purple. And if you don't know to look up, you would think it's purple. So if you don't do a research, just by looking up, you can figure out, no, the sky is not purple, it's blue. So for me, and especially for us as Black community, and we need to be more knowledgeable about things. We need to be more attuned to what's important to our livelihood. Yeah. So, and once you know something, they can't take that from you. So knowledge is power. So if you know something, you know it. You can never unknow something once you know it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You have that knowledge and that power to know that you can be better, you can do better. This is a resource here. This is where you go for that. Then you have power. You're not constrained. You don't have to wait for somebody. As my grandfather said, wait broke the wagon. So you waiting for somebody to bring you something, you'll be there all day.
Yeah.
Wait for somebody to bring you something. So you need to try to figure that out yourself and be more resourceful. And then, and it's a good feeling to know something and say, oh, I know that. Oh, I know that. And somebody can ask you a question and you can be like, well, I know that this is the answer, and that can help somebody else. And for me, my friends used to call me 411 because whenever they want to know something, they will call me and say, hey, Cynthia, do you know whatever? And I'd be like, hold up, give me 5 minutes. I'll call you right back. So, that's just always been my thing. And I like sharing information. I like people knowing stuff because over the centuries, we've been pushed down because of lack of knowledge. Yeah. And once you know something, you can't take that from me, and you can stand on that knowledge. You don't have to say, I'm not sure. Oh yes, I know. And you can be strong in your conviction for that. Mm-hmm. So that makes a difference. And I just think that knowledge is power. You need to get you some.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I love it. And can you tell everyone how all of your social media platforms. So if they want to reach out to you and also be a part of your MOMSY and TeamMomsy, what are those outlets?
I'm on Facebook, Team Momsy, and then Momsy, MOMSY. And then I have my diaper creation where I make diaper cakes, diaper
Oh,
cycles,
wow.
stuff like that for baby showers. I even make candy, stuff like that for the babies, and pretzels and dipped in chocolate and all that good stuff.
Oh, wow. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, so wait a minute. How can someone reach you for that too?
I have an Instagram page, the Diaper Diva of ATL.
Okay.
You can
Oh,
reach
I'm
me
so
out there.
excited. I'm definitely going to go look all of this, look that up, because right now with us being in this pandemic, how is it? So let's talk about, being in the pandemic and how business is now. So have you been able to come up with some new creative ways? Because, it's like there's not been much happening, but
Right.
what have you been able to say? I'm gonna come up with the different, idea of how I can attack this, doing stuff virtually or what. So what have been the changes for your company during this time?
Well, that's what I've been looking at. It was already getting started on Instagram. So I
Mm-hmm.
said, since all this happened, now it's making me rethink my whole business model.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm going to do it online anyway. So you can place, actually you tell me what you want, whatever your theme is, and I can make it for you. And then I can
All
send
right.
it to you. Yeah. So if you, whatever, Superman, Batman, all that, I can, I do the diaper
All
cycle.
your theme work.
Yeah, just
Oh.
the theme. Tell me your theme, and I'll make it happen.
I mean,
And
because life has not stopped. People are still having babies.
exactly,
I
exactly.
mean,
My
they may
nephew
not
just
be
had a
having these
baby.
grand parties. I mean, you know what? I've even seen that they're having the parties, but they're just at home with they're at
Mm-hmm.
home with their loved one, and then but they're still bringing cakes. They're still, still having, and then everybody's just joining on Zoom to
Right.
participate. But it's still happening, so people still can reach out to you in this time to
Mm-hmm.
even place orders, right?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely. Because I can just ship it, or drop it off at your door.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
we don't have to, no contact. I got my mask and all that good stuff. So yeah, yeah, I'm
Well,
still trying to make that happen during this pandemic. So I'm sure about it in the next 9 months, there'll be plenty of babies running around here.
oh, right, right. So you're gonna really be busy. Cynthia, I really truly appreciate your time. But also just tell me what is something that is happening in the community. It could be about this time that we're in, or just the your form of advocacy. What is something that's in your community that you would like to see change, or you would like to bring further awareness to?
Well, for me, I want to find out how to lobby for, when there's laws that need to be changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that because when I was working at Nationwide, I was involved with the PAC group. I was on that PAC committee, Political Action Committee. So
Mm-hmm.
we would make donations to different lawmakers and stuff that had interest in the insurance company with with Nationwide. So through that committee, I was able to meet like Hank Johnson and different people and stuff like that. So for me, like with this pandemic stuff going on, I've always felt like people should wear gloves, should be more covered up when they do our protection, when they doing our preparing food for people, like
Mm-hmm.
wearing gloves when they making preparing any type of food. If they're touching your food, I think they should wear gloves and hair nets and even masks if that's necessary.
Yeah.
Just because, even before this all started, I felt like people don't, that's why I like going to Subway and places like that, because they wear gloves. And if I can see you making my food, I know you're not back there doing all this stuff I see on the internet. So,
Yeah.
it just makes me feel more comfortable that way. And then, and I just think, stuff that we need to change, I want to find out how we as lay people can connect with somebody at the Capitol to get these things pushed through, to help the community with different stuff, because that's the only way we're going to make any changes, because just saying it is not going to make it happen. And we don't have any Martin Luther Kings and Malcolm X's anymore. So we have to be our own advocate,
Right.
for ourselves. And I just think that part for me, because that health-wise, that's going to protect a lot of people, and that's going to keep, spreading the germs going forward.
Yeah.
I think that should be something that we should, look out for, because as we can plainly see, the Black community is more affected by this pandemic than anybody else, because we don't take care of ourselves for the most part. We have all these issues. We don't eat the right kind of food. We don't exercise. And then people, it's been promoted, the bigger you are, the sexier you are. So, everybody got big everything, and nobody's really healthy. They're just big. So,
oh, Lord.
I mean,
wow, but it's true.
I'm not saying that as a down thing, because if you're big, I got big and beautiful. You can be big and beautiful, but are you healthy?
Yeah.
That's the main thing, is just being healthy and being around to be with your family and stuff. Because, if you don't have your health, all the money in the world is not going to get you through.
That's true. That's so true. So what are some of the self-care things that you do to help you? No matter if it's grief and COVID or whatever, what are some things that you do just to take out time for yourself that you could share with our audience?
Well, I do enjoy archery. I'm a level 1 archery instructor. So I do enjoy shooting a bow and arrow to relax and stuff. Wow. But, or I'm not, I like to walk and just do light stuff like that. But really, I can sit in my house and just watch TV and just clear my mind and just enjoy the fact and just thank God that I'm here, and I'm in good health. I'm healthy, and I have a job, I have a house, I just try to be thankful for what I have and not worry about what what's coming next, or what I did or whatever. So I just try to be in the present now and just be happy for what's going on right now, because I know God is in control anyway. And and like they said, if he know everything that was going to happen before we was even born, what am I worried about it for? All I need to do is sit back and do my job and do what I'm supposed to do, and he will take care of the rest. So Absolutely. That's basically what I'm doing, and trying to do this spring cleaning in here that's taking me forever.
Well, thank you so much, Cynthia, for coming on to our show and sharing your story of your son and how resilient you've become, and, all the wonderful things that you're doing, and how you're supporting others by advocating and bringing further awareness, and even giving love with your diaper making and cookies and all of the great amenities that you need for a cake table. Thank you so much for your contribution and what you're doing, because that's was also one of my passions, doing event planning. But I would always link up with women like you, because that's what I needed to make my cake table beautiful. So I thank you. I really, truly do. It was good to talk to you and get to know who you were. And I'm so excited that you came on to It's the Miami Night Show Grief Talk to share your story with us.
And I thank you so much for having me. It's been really great. I really enjoyed talking to you. You make everything so easy and just so natural. I just love it. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to let everybody know about how special my son was.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye-bye.